It'd be great to get back to pastels. I'm working on that pastel premier paper. Yeah, and so the first thing I'm going to do is just draw a little 1/4 inch line all around my edge of my paper, because this is the area I'm going to actually be composing to. This is the area that would show inside the mat or the frame in case I chose to frame it. And this paper is about, I guess it's probably 11 by 15. Okay, so now when I'm ready to start my drawing, I took a bunch of photos, and then I decided which photo I wanted to work from. And then I cropped it so it would be the same proportion as my paper. And so now I've done as much as I can with the image, and the other things I'm going to do need to be done here on the painting. So this first stage of drawing is really also a part of the stage of composition. So I'm just going to see, like, where do I think maybe the steps start. And this is the garden coming down the path here. And then there's going to be shadows on the path too. And let's see. So the shadows, when you're drawing, shadows are pretty much like objects. So it's, you know, you might not want to do them just yet, but I just wanted to be sure that it was starting to make that path feel like that there was verticals, and also, oh, and see, I kind of messed up, but yeah, verticals, and then the verticals of the flowers, and then the horizontals of the shadows on the path. Okay, and then on this side of the path, I think I maybe made that angled in too much if I think of this as the first step. And it's gonna just do a little vertical strokes right there to show that that's a vertical plane. Yeah, but it can't really be. I think I did come over this way a little bit too far, and that's why. And so that's why my steps, I couldn't quite get my steps long enough on this side. And then here's this kind of clump of stuff. And then these purple irises. And I'm not 100% sure what these are. I think they're peonies. Okay, so and whatever this is in this corner, I think I'm going to make it a little bigger. That's the thing, you know, when you're painting, you're not just a slave to nature. You're not just copying. You're making decisions all the time about what would enhance your vision. So you can tell I'm looking down on the steps because you can see the tops of them. So and then there's a little shadow here on the top of the steps too. So that's step 1, step 2, step 3, and here's the door. And I did really like the little lantern here. It's the middle of the day, but it's still turned on, but I don't know if I'll do that. And the other side of this door is, you know what I think I'm going to do is leave off the glass door, just do the wooden door that's inside. And as usual, I seem to have a runny nose, like, I don't know. So sniffing and sighing, those are the two things I seem to do all the time. So try not to. Actually, I just can't tell But I think the stairs actually are sort of really straight onto them, so I think they... And then here's there's a bouquet or some sort of thing of flowers on top of here. So I guess I'm thinking maybe they need to come out a little more. I can't really see what's behind here, so I'd like to think I could draw it right without seeing it, but I just don't know how wide the steps are. So they just have to be wide enough for that pot of flowers. And then there's actually a little, this part of the house is all covered with this ivy and stuff, so there needs to be a little more ivy right there, and then I think maybe this door has to come over just a tiny bit more. And I'm going to draw some of the detail on the door because I think it'll help me make sure I have my proportions right. But it's the kind of thing I might very well just paint right over it all when I first start. And of course, I said I was not going to put the storm door on it, so I don't exactly know how much width there is here and stuff. And you know, it's probably the kind of thing I should know since doors are so much a standard size, but I really don't. I really have to always depend on looking at stuff. And when I have to make it up, it's just that much harder for me. So now the other thing is there's this big rhododendron bush. This was obviously, I guess, last spring. And I really don't have my drawing right, you guys. I don't know what it is. I try to crop it just right on the photograph, but the photograph is just not quite the same proportion as the paper here. So I knew I wanted to move this rhododendron closer to the door, so I'm going to have to because there's just not enough space for it. And then there's all this ivy, and it's just on this one side, and so I'm just wondering if I shouldn't, you know, bring some down on this side too, so it wasn't just so, you know, cut in half here. And I can see a tiny bit, just a tiny bit of the window. And so I'm going to put that in too. I'm amazed that people have ivy growing over their entire windows, but okay. All right, so for something like this is probably enough drawing. I do want to know where my flowers are going to go because I'm going to spot them in right away. Oh my God, people keep texting me. Don't text me right now. Okay. So when I'm ready to start my color, what I do when I have a flower garden like this is, maybe it's counterintuitive, so you might think you really just want to put in all these greens and stuff, but what I want to do is put in where the flowers are going to be first, because I'm not confident that I can actually cover up the greens and make my flowers really vibrant. So I'm going to, and I've got some really bright flowers, so I should have looked at this a little more, I guess, but all right, so I've got some, and I'm going to do lights and shadows on my flowers too. So those are the really pink ones, and then I've got some that are really red. And although, you know, I try to switch over now to painting once I've got the drawing in, what I'm really doing right now is I'm drawing. I'm drawing with color, because I'm trying to get these guys kind of in the right spot. Whoa, and there went my red. Okay, and then these flowers in shadow are a little more purpley. That's not dark enough for the red flowers. So you always want to know where your light's coming from, and you want to think about it for a minute. You know, it's fairly obvious, but you just want to be sure you've considered it. The light is coming from this left-hand side, and it's casting shadows to the right. So each of these little flowers is going to have, there's going to be some shadow on them on the right-hand side. And it's okay, you know, to start a little darker than you're planning to end up, because it's easier to get the light over the dark when you're working in pastels. But I wouldn't do this whole light path and then try to put my purple flowers on top of it. I just know it won't work well. Okay, and then we have some yellows up here in the front. And if you're doing a lot of gardens, I mean, usually a lot of times I don't even use my more expensive pastels, but like so far I used some Rembrandts, and I used oh golly, why can I never remember these? Jack Richardson purple, and this yellow is a Great American. So if there's ever a time that I really need my more expensive pastels, it's when I'm doing flowers. Otherwise, it doesn't seem to really matter much. And it matters less if you're using the sanded paper. The sanded paper, you don't really have to have such expensive pastels when you're using sanded paper. The thing I don't like about these, I love the colors, and I can't get the colors in my other brands of pastels for those purples. But the thing I don't love is the way it fills in the paper so much. So that's a problem for me. Okay, and then what I'm going to do with these, I'm going to go ahead and start with my darkest darks in here, in these greens. And the reason I like to start really dark is that then I've got my dark colors as if they were really embedded in there. And as I pull my lighter colors on top, then my lighter colors start to look like they're more on top. So I want the dark shadows to be the dark down under. Yeah, I didn't draw this exactly right, but surprisingly, not surprisingly really. And you know, when I'm painting outside, there's just not enough time to, I mean, unless you can come back day after day when the lighting's the same and the time of day is the same, it's really hard to, I don't know. And sometimes I thought, well, what I should do is I should do a drawing, I should take a photo and do a drawing indoors and then go outside and paint, but I haven't done it. So I'm just trying to put in some variety of lights and darks in my greens. And I'm trying to see kind of what kinds of greens I have. So some of the greens were more of a yellowy green, although I haven't come all the way bright yet. And then some of the greens, like this is probably sage or a little purplier. And then this, whatever this is. I think it'd be great to know the names of all the flowers, but, you know. I know what it is, I just can't think what it's called. Maybe alyssum. Okay, so that's a start. And then I think what I'm going to do here is I think I'll do the, well, I feel like the reason also I think to do the flowers first is like, so say I think, oh, maybe this is kind of pink, but maybe that's like way off base for the fact that I have these pinky violet rhododendrons. So I think the flowers are what the painting is about. So I think it's really important to spot in all the flowers and the lights of the flowers, not just because it's harder to put them in later, but because it's like it's the center of interest in the painting, and you want to make sure you don't do stuff like that that might, you know, be too much. Like it'd be fine if I didn't have pink flowers, but in this case, I think I want to go more with this. And I'm still doing a little drawing, aren't I? Okay, and then like the grass, if I didn't have flowers, maybe I would start the grass really yellowy, but I've got all these yellow flowers and stuff, so I can't really compete with them. So I have to be, I don't want to compete with them. I could, but I don't want to. So what I do is I try to stare at those yellows in my photograph while deciding what I might put back here for this grass. And it's always just a first best guess. It's not like it's not like it's going to be perfect. It's just my first best guess. And the thing is, if it was perfect, what would you do next anyway? Well, boom, bang, you'd be done. Then you'd have to figure out what you want to paint next. Okay, so let's see if it just, is this a little darker purple? No, not really. Is it a lighter purple? No, it's the same purple. Okay, let's try a little of this then. And I'm not really, except for kind of trying to keep some of the strokes going horizontal and then some, some of these strokes vertical and then some of these are going to be horizontal. I'm not really thinking about my strokes right now. I admit I thought about it for a second and had a little panic feeling about how bad that was looking. But it's really not time to think about that yet. So trying to be calm. And then, yeah, I don't really know what color the steps are brick, and I don't know. I mean, I know they're kind of reddish brown, so I'm just going to start with that because oh, I see. There's really all of the vertical steps are in shadow, and the only place you see a little bit of light is on the step itself, not the riser. So ultimately, you would really want these to all be, you know, parallel. They're not in perspective. The perspective comes from that maybe, you know, the way, but it's close. So it doesn't, I don't think you have to make it different. That this step is the furthest down, so you would see the most of that step, and then you would see a little less of this step, and then a little less of that step. That's the way the perspective is working, but we're not in a 1 point, well, we are in a 1 point perspective situation, but not 2 points. So all these lines are just going to be parallel. I straightened the photo so that it would all be parallel to the edge of the paper. Okay, and then the door, well, let's see, let's put a little, try to put a little light on here too. So it's a sunny day, so one of the things about a sunny day, one of the things that defines a sunny day is that there's a lot of contrast between the light and the shadow. So I wonder, maybe I would want some of this on here too. The purple was kind of, it's not a color that makes you feel like something is in the sunlight. But like I said, I just make my best, I just take my best shot, and then I try to make it better. Okay, so now I just got to get some shadows on that table, on that sidewalk. Okay. Oh yeah, I was going to leave out the, there's a lot of mulch. I don't love mulch, so I might try to leave it out. We'll see. Okay, so I've got the steps and all and the door. I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to start the walls the same because they're brick and so are the steps. So I'm just going to put them in as the same color. And I'm definitely not going to leave it brown. And all this ivy stuff. So I'm just going to start it with my dark blue and hope this little piece holds on until I can get it all covered. So I don't have to try to find the exact same color again. And I drew that little line around to show where the frame was going to go, but it's fine to go clear to the edge with your pastel. Well, there it goes. It's preferable because then that way you know for sure that you're not going to end up with something along the edge like, my clips. I got some cute little clips, banker's clips at Capital Stationery in Montpelier. I bought the last 4, and he asked me, do you know how few I sell of these every year? And I said, yes, I do, because I buy half of them. But if you want more, I bet he'd get you some more. Anyway, they're called banker's clips. And the thing that's nice about them is they're kind of long. And in the midst of, I don't know, can't find anything now since I've been out of here for a couple of weeks, I just couldn't find the board I usually use. So I needed longer clips. And, of course, my other clips are wherever my board is. That's where my clips are. Okay, and so then I've got this window here that I don't know what color you are, but it seems to me there's a little shadow, kind of gray, a little shadow on the window from the ivy. And then there's a place where I really see the sky reflected in the window. So I don't know how well this is all going to work out, but we'll see. So a little sky reflection there. And I think this is a piece of glass in here too. So I think I'm just going to put a little sky reflection in there. And then I'm just going to paint over all the rest of the door, the details I started there. And then I'll come back to those details later. And this, a few videos ago, I was talking about I didn't know if they still made Indian red. And I was wondering if maybe they'd change the name because that seems like it would be appropriate if they did. But this right here is Indian red. And you can see it's just a little redder than the brown I was using. It's a beautiful color, and it's a beautiful color in more than just this darkest value. I think I bought several of them. My pastels are so tidy too. I actually cleaned everything up before I left, which I did not remember at all. Let's make that a little darker, huh? Okay, so I haven't destroyed the surface yet. I still have farther to go, but this would be my first lay-in, my first time over, my first best guess at stuff. And now I'd be ready for my second lay-in, and now I'm going to add more color variety and just try to make it better, start adding more texture. Yeah, I'm going to add some green right away back here. Nope, not that green. It's funny, it looks so dark, but it wasn't dark enough. But this is the blue-green, and this is the 640.2. This is the darkest in the bluish-green series. Kind of obliterated my lantern. I don't know if I can have it or not. Okay, and so the door is a little redder than And you notice the colors, actually I hardly started with any weird colors at all here. I started everything pretty much like it really is, which also can be a little bit of a problem because I sort of feel like, well, it's almost like it's too realistic too soon, so I don't know what to do. And sometimes I feel like I'm just working so I can spray it, just trying to get it covered so I can spray it. I'm pretty sure these flowers are in a pot, but I haven't exactly painted a pot. So I guess we could have, I don't know, I'll just try to figure it out later. And then I need some lighter things on my green too. Oh, big sigh. I definitely want to be sure that whatever I do back here, like right now, these jump out way too much, right? But I want to make sure that stays back where it belongs. So I'll definitely be back here in a minute I was also trying to pull this out more, making more contrast. Contrast always makes people look, which is why, of course, that's so attractive. Attractive in the sense that it draws your attention. Sort of feel like, no, we were the same color. Sort of feel like I let that grass get a little too lizard green. I think, I don't know, grass is hard. Because the sun is shining on it and that makes it really yellowy, but then also the sky is shining on it, so that makes it kind of have some blue, and every blade of grass is kind of at a different angle, so probably the sun is shining through some of those blades, it's shining on some blades. It's another blue, but I didn't really mean to use it all up in there, but somehow it just seemed like a good idea. So the key thing here is try not to panic. Because when you spray it, you can go over it again. And I've got a lot of surface left. I still got to decide about a pot here. I don't know what to do with it. I don't really want a red pot. I don't think it is a red pot. And it's like a green pot. What's the point of a green pot? Everything is green. So I was sort of thinking maybe I'll just see. What if it was just a little blue pot sitting here? I just see. We'll just wait and see. Okay, and then I dropped my red, which is now gone and lost forever, but I think this is another one. It's really hard to get the red to do anything now, so that's going to be, and see, like here, impossible. Okay, so I said I got to do something about this business. So I think I need, on the steps here, there are some shadows, and I didn't really do those yet, so. Just using a little purple that's kind of on the grayish side to tone that down a little bit. I feel like there's a little purple in the store too. Okay, and then I need some lighter colors in my flowers. And I think I'm going to have a few more yellow flowers over here too, because actually I think that's yarrow. I don't think the lilies are bloomed yet. I think this is lilies foliage, but I think the flowers are actually yarrow. So I don't know if I'll be able to do that or not. And there's some more of this bluish gray stuff I need in here. Yeah, I'm about out of my surface here, so I'm just going to do a couple more things and then I'm going to spray it. Okay, and that's really supposed to be the dark greenish blue in here. With those irises on top. And I think I could just make this a little better too. Oh yeah, more irises, right? So landscape is the best place to study texture because there's just so much texture. And you really have to use a lot of different brush strokes to get that feeling of texture, a lot of different pastel strokes. And the combination, if you have the combination of that you're actually doing gardens from real life and then you're doing bouquets of flowers that you have a little more time with, you know, you can't linger too long. But of really understanding the shapes of the flowers and what kind of little shorthand marks you could make that would describe the flowers. And I think that kind of expertise comes from a lot of practice and study. Okay, so, well, one more thing. This is still too much here, so. I'll just try to gray it down a little. And the other thing, well, I don't know. It's funny, they look, but maybe probably you know what it is that it's the top of the bricks. It's not actually concrete. That's probably why it. So let's try this then instead. This I think is the India red too, but the lighter. You know, and I don't want to leave this so bad, such bad drawing. As usual, I have a little trouble because I'm clear off to the side here. It's hard for me to get a straight line. But if you can't get it straight with a small line, then use your background to come back and look at those bricks at the end of the walkway, which I did not see. Yeah, so if you can't make the small thing right, use the background to help you cut into it and make it more right. Okay, so I'm going to spray it.